So, hello again, and here we are on another brief conversation with the wonderful Ali Knowles from Subconquest and Ollie, of course, with his amazing superpowers, to talk about just some things that impact parents, families, and children. And we do these short sessions, and they are short, so stick around for a little bit because hopefully in this brief period you'll learn some great stuff that will help you with any issues that you might be having at work or with families or with children in particular. So before we do another thing, hi Ali, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm
Not as
very
hot as you
well.
guys are.
Well, yeah, it's so we're recording this in the summer here, and we're on a record-breaking day today of 36 degrees Celsius. So it's a temperature I'm not used to. But if you're watching this in the winter, I'm really sorry. It was warm. It was warm once upon a time. Look, Ali, when parents contact support services, and let's say in particular EAPs, because they're worried about their child, and it happens regularly, things are impacting employees at work, and often it's because of the things that are happening with their children. One thing that I always think about is the child always the person who actually needs the support from an organization like yours?
um, how long's a piece of string? Firstly, as we know, EAPs aren't allowed to refer children. We have to work directly with their employee. But 9 times out of 10, the issue with the employee is they're struggling at home with something. So it's not always work related. They might be banging heads at work with someone, they might be stressing over changes at work, but 9 times out of 10, it's what's going on in their wider environment. And the most emotive thing is, are our kids okay? So yeah, it kind of is something that's really affecting people across the board at work, at play, at home. It's affecting relationships. If your family's not happy, and your kids aren't happy, and you don't know how to help them or where to get the support, then yeah, your mind's not where it needs to be, is it? So,
And I think that's right. The things that are happening at home often find their way into the workplace. And I used to provide sessions with with customers that were using EAP providers. I've done that for years and years. And the things that we used to talk about were the fact that EAP support employees with the things that are happening at work and at home,
mm,
specifically for that reason. Because the
yeah,
things that happen at home, they don't stay at the doorstep, do they? You bring
no.
them into the workplace. And when it's children, it's often it's often compounded because it's a worry that you cannot get rid of because you have absolutely no control.
And complete responsibility, don't you? I mean, it is the most emotive thing. All of us worry about our kids, our grandkids, our friends' kids. It's huge. And do you know, if you've got a problem at work, in theory, you can go and talk to your line manager, you can get something sorted, or ultimately, if you can't, you leave. What do you do if it's your kids? You can't go, oh, can't cope later. And
No.
so it doesn't go away. And if you're not getting the support, then the pressure doesn't go away. And that will come out all over the place. I mean, I train my therapists to leave themselves outside the room because we can't take our problems in there because we'll be distracted and we won't be what we're needed to be. But, we do this for a living and even we struggle. If I've got stuff going on in my family, I'm trying to be focused in my job, but it's blimmin' hard. So, and I'm trained to block that out. So if you're not trained to block it out, then, how do you cope?
It becomes even more difficult.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, without breaching any kind of confidentiality, being very specific about that, have you have you got any examples of a situation where, say, an employee has presented an issue around their child? So they call up, this is going on with my child. I'm really worried about it. The EAP then tries to give support. But have you got any examples where that presenting issue wasn't really the root cause of what was going on?
It never is just one person within the family unit because all of us interact and have an effect on everybody else. But I think one of the common themes you see is we have this. It's inbuilt, isn't it? We kind of look at a situation. We then go to what I call our library of, have I ever been through this before? What happened? What did I do? What was the outcome? And we project. So, I mean, interestingly, a very recent one. Um, Parents have unfortunately lost one of their children, suicide, and they're really worried about the younger one because he's behaving slightly differently. He's a little bit quiet. He's a little bit just stuff, not major stuff. And when I was talking to them, they couldn't really put the finger on it. It was just stuff. So they wanted me to work with him, which I did. And, you know, we had some really open, honest conversations. Obviously, he's just lost his big sister. But the reality was he was really worried that mum and dad were doing such a good job trying to protect him from what they can't protect him from. And they're getting upset because he's not upset all the time and he's quite happy to go and play football and do this, that, and the other. Their concern is that he's not grieving and this is trauma and it's all being held in. And that's not the case at all. He's dealt with it the way his young mind can. And so he hasn't moved on, obviously. But in a funny sort of way, he's moved on better than they have. But their concern now is that, well, he's not reacting the way he should. He's not crying. He's not grieving. He's not asking loads of questions. There's something wrong. There's not. They're just overcompensating because they feel so guilty, and they really shouldn't, because one child couldn't be reached in time. It's completely understandable, but they're projecting that onto the younger one when they don't need to. What they need to do is actually have a look and give themselves time to grieve and deal with a horrendous situation. But they're almost pushing it away onto their child so that they don't need to. But there's also that guilt that, did we miss something? Did we get something wrong? Should we, hindsight, wonderful. They couldn't have done anything. But
that's
the
a great
fear is...
Sorry, interrupted.
It's all right.
You're going to say that the fear is, and then I interrupted. I'm sorry.
The fear is that if they're not uber sensitive and hyper vigilant, that it could happen again. And the slightest change in this young fella's behaviour, and the reason his behaviour's changed and he's spending time up in his bedroom being a bit quiet, is because mum and dad, despite the best efforts of paddling like a swan underwater, he's not stupid. He knows they're really hurting and struggling. He's afraid to talk about his sister, for them, not for him. And they're reading that the other way round. So, you know, it's really hard, because if you're in that scenario, you're too close to see it. It's very easy for me to stand back and ask the right questions and go, that's why therapists don't work on themselves. If we're too close, you can't see it.
That story has given me goosebumps, Ali, because
kids are quite resilient, you know.
Well, they are, and I sometimes wonder, I'm sure parents see it in themselves all the time, that we spend so much time worrying about doing the right thing for our children
If you want to be
that we
parents.
but we don't give them the respect sometimes that they are duly deserved around how resilient children can be. And sometimes you've got to look after yourself, haven't you? So work as a family, and look after yourself.
But,
I think you said a really good story. Sorry,
it's really hard, Carl, because if you take the mum and dad in this scenario, both of them are very concerned about the younger sibling because they both carrying this guilt that they really don't need to, bless them. But they're dealing with it differently. So dad has this immense pressure now that he cannot cry when his daughter's mentioned or he sees. He can't do that. But in an attempt not to, his whole behaviour's changed in the household. Mum's very aware that dad's trying to, and she's trying to hold it together for everybody because she thinks she needs to. So her behaviour's changed. And the little fella is like, everyone's different. What's going on? So,
you gave a really good example once of being in an aeroplane, and they say in the case of an accident or I can't remember what the right word is, but make sure you put yours on first before.
But you're never going to, are you? We'll always put our children first at the detriment of ourselves, whether that you've got enough money to buy food for the week, whether or not, you know, your kid needs new shoes and yours have got holes in, you're always going to put your kids first. That's a brilliant parent. But I think Parents are so afraid of getting it wrong, but they can't because there's no book. They haven't written it. All they can do is their very best.
So if an employee rings Subconquest or rings their EAP, and let's hope that the EAP that they're working with has access to a service as good as Subconquest.
Well, they don't all work with families, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they can't for lots of different reasons, but you found a really great way of being able to work with EAPs that can provide support to employees and their children and their wider family that meets the regulations that EAPs have to. What sort of things are normally presented to the EAP, do you think? That the counsellor at the end of the line is going, this isn't about the parent. This isn't about the child. This is about the parent. This is something that I need to refer on to Ali and her team.
Again, that's quite a difficult one, and we're working quite closely with the EAPs we're working with just to help their guys that answer the phones and take those calls to know whether or not it is a family referral or whatever provision they've got. Because I think the employees are aware it's about them, not their child, so they're a little bit cagey. There's still a big trust issue. So one of the things we've seen time and time again is I'm struggling at work at the moment because I'm very anxious because my child doesn't seem very happy and isn't going to school. That's all we get. When I start talking to them, it's, well, I've just split up from my husband. I'm behind on my mortgage payments. And I think my child has fallen in with the wrong crowd and they might be self-harming. They're not going to write that because they're worried about the repercussions and the security of this and the confidentiality of the system. So an awful lot of times we all get through a parent that's a little bit anxious and you think, okay, well, that's never good and let's help. But the moment you start asking the right questions and you actually get to the root of what that anxiety is about, then it usually blossoms out into something else going on in the family that they feel responsible. They feel like they have to be the therapist. They have to be the all singing, all dancing, aware of every possible danger and manage it. Well,
impossible sometimes, isn't it?
I was out in the middle of nowhere this weekend driving this. It's a fantastic bit of kit, goes over anything, and it stopped. I didn't know what to do, but I didn't beat myself up because I didn't have all the answers to everything. But I think parents feel they should, and they feel very judged.
First of all, I need to, when I come and see you, we're going to find that thing that goes over everything and have a go at that because it sounds great fun.
Very good for anxiety and stress relief. Not so much for the chap that owned it, I'm sure, but I loved it.
I can imagine. So, employers, just if you're an employer and you're watching this, what are the things that you can recognize in an employee that might give a sign that actually things are going on at home that might need for them to pick up the phone, speak to an EAP or refer them in? Because employees generally don't like talking about problems at their home. I know that for the 30 years I've been involved in this industry. The minute you pick up the phone and you ask a therapist or a counsellor or a service for help, you feel that you failed. And that isn't the truth. The reality is the bravest people, the most conscientious people are the people that ask for help quickly. And we know that. And the earlier you can get support, the better it is for everybody, including your family.
One very simple question that we ask at the start of every conversation, and that's, when did this start? Whatever's going on with my anxiety. When did it start? 2 years ago. What was different in your world, or what happened 2 years ago? Woof! My son went to secondary school and off we go.
Yeah, but it's 2 years ago. And that's why I asked the question, if you're an employer right now and you're seeing people within your workplace and, well, you're not an employer necessarily. I think that's wrong to say that. If you're working next to somebody or you have video calls
you'll
with
notice
people,
differences. I mean,
what are they? What sort of things are you noticing?
Well, I mean, I don't have children, okay, but you can tell when I'm off because
Yeah.
I'm not Ali, and you'll know your work colleague or your friend is not how they normally are. Maybe I'm not as well dressed, maybe I'm a bit snappy, maybe I'm making mistakes, maybe I'm not focused, maybe I'm just checking my phone every 5 minutes. Something different about their behavior, because any behavioral change means something is going on somewhere. And it might just be, oh, I don't know, the dog's at the vet, I hope it's okay. That's pretty serious, actually. I like dogs. But you know what I mean? But it could also be, hell, I'm waiting for this phone call. I've been waiting months and months and months to get my child assessed for autism. Phone calls coming through between 8 o'clock and 2 o'clock this afternoon. I can't take that time off. I've got just be a little bit more observant. You know the guy working next to you, the woman working next to you. But I think most importantly, I think we're terrified to ask. And then we're very British, aren't we? We say, no, I'm fine, thank you. Good. And it's just saying, all right, mate, you're just a bit different. I'm here. Yeah. Don't know if I can do anything, but I'm here. Don't be
That's a
afraid
really
to
good
do
point.
that. Don't be afraid.
A really good point, as always. Do you know, I could have this conversation with you all day, but we promised people that this
It'd be
would be a
short.
short one, and it isn't. We've already run over. Um, let me just say this last thing, and this is from me, if you like. I see the work that you do with young people and with families. I see the EAPs that you work with and the incredible job you do for them. You're getting huge numbers of referrals from um, employees that are really struggling and don't have anywhere else to turn. If you are an employee watching this right now, I would ask you to speak with your HR provider, your HR person, to speak with your line manager. If it's not for you, then it's for the people that are around you. Ask them if they've got an EAP, and if they've got an EAP, does that EAP have access to a service like yours? Because
Interestingly,
if they don't, they're
sorry
really
to
missing
interrupt
out.
you, but interestingly, what's happening is I don't know how well employers are advertising the fact that companies like us exist. But one of the latest ones that's come through the EAP system, I said, oh, it's fantastic that you were aware of us. And she said, I wasn't. She said, somebody else you've just finished working with told me. And I went and asked HR. So again, absolutely go and ask the question. Is it available? It is free. You guys are pulling your hair out, waiting for support, waiting for help. And then there's the worry about the waiting list and the cost. This is a free thing your employee is doing for you. Why wouldn't you? And
Mm,
if you don't need it for you, as Carl said, for goodness sakes, just go and ask your HR and just say, look, I think they're struggling. Is there anything, I can just mention over a beer?
yeah.
Do it.
And it's
Help one
confidential.
another. Yeah,
And it's confidential, of course. Let's
it's
not forget that. So
completely. Our notes
if
do
you're
not get shared with your employee. They stay with
yeah.
me and my team.
And if you're struggling, pick up the phone. It's the easiest thing to do, but the hardest thing to do for the first time.
It is. But what have you got to lose? You can stay where you are and keep struggling, or you never know, someone might just be able to take that load off you.
Ali, you're the best. As
You're
always.
really good for my ego.
Well,
That's not what
it's
the
it's
farmer said
true.
when I got off his bit of kit that wasn't working anymore. But
That I can imagine. I don't know if I'd let you drive the tractor around the garden, but as far as supporting family and children are concerned, you are definitely
it's
one in a
not just
million.
me, Carl. I've got an amazing team behind me, and I've got fantastic therapists that we've trained in house, and I trust any of them with someone I love. So yeah,
Fantastic. Ali, until next time, have a
see
lovely
you
day.
next.
I'll go and put on the sun cream. Again, if this is
Okay,
winter, I'm really sorry, but it was sunny once upon a time in the UK. And we'll see you again soon.
take care, Carl. Bye.